We would like to start this panel. You feel that there is a need to see behind this curiosity also a longer view and practical application?
Well, here I have to be sort of brutally honest in that I am of course delighted when anything I discover is useful. I mean, I know that some of the things that we find out about memory are relevant to Alzheimer and various other diseases. Nothing pleases me more, but it is not my personal motivation. My personal motivation is very selfish, it's sheer curiosity.
Fundamental science or fundamental research and relation or not with applied research. Is that a problem, a question in your field, or not at all?
It's not a problem for me because I know that my work is economically not viable. Questions at once is that science is always embedded in a culture, and Professor Rossi's talk emphasized the degree to which he, and it's the same for me, works in a field where one familiarizes oneself with the strange thoughts of others in the past. They don't like nuclear power because they think it will give them cancer. That they may be wrong, but that's what they think. But they love these photovoltaic cells in Japan and Korea, and they make beautiful things. And suddenly it's very moving, his stuff, because you see that might be a solution to our problems, because there people will say, oh, we want this, it's so cool to have these flowers and beautiful things, and a garage, with these beautiful designs which will recharge my car. Then people will buy the bloody electric cars at last. Okay. And I work with those rather peculiar ideas around the edge.
Isn't another possibility to transfer, to contaminate the social sciences with problems like that?
That's the task of the social people. They should do that more, and scientists should reach out to the public. I'm giving, for example, we give demos to young kids, even at the school age, and make sure they know about these conversion technologies that exist for solar, other technologies, wind. Education is extremely important, and we need a kind of a tsunami to move this whole field forward.
For the difference between humanistic and the scientific culture, it is not necessary for a scientist of every science to have read with eyes Newton. He know about Newton some half a page. The truths discovered by Newton, and also for Kepler. If you read Kepler and you search the three laws of the universe in Kepler, it's very difficult to find in the same form which is now in the main manuals, in the book of astronomy or physics. And I know these truths which were discovered in the past. As something says, when arrive Picasso, Rembrandt is not in the cantina, in the gallery. It's together. Picasso, not in science.
How did you live that? I mean, you're coming from humanities. You were interested in physiology.
I came from mathematics, that's where I started.
Oh, initially, you did go over the border so several times. But do you think that today that is easier, or was it in 1950s easier than today?
Probably it was easier in the 1950s, but this field, my field, has grown, so much. The field of cognitive neurosciences didn't exist 50 years ago, and it has such a rapid growth. But it's not just cognitive neurosciences, it's neurosciences in general. I think that technology has really led the way here, that we can ask questions with more precision, and questions that we would have been foolish to ask 50 years ago because we would have no tools to answer the question.
I think that subjects like mine, and I don't mean exactly like mine, but the humanities, has to keep providing that context within which other sorts of interpretation of the world are understood. Because if we don't do that, there will be very complex and unpredictable shifts between these two polarities. I mean, we've got to make the brain work as a whole, and the only way you can do that is by having universities that embody all these things.
I very rarely now call myself a psychologist tout court comme ça. I always qualify, because there are branches of psychology that are so alien to me that I cannot identify any more than they would identify with me. I have a great respect for my colleagues in those fields, but their questions are not my questions.
Their science, their findings, what they presented today, how will that influence your science, your research, your thinking?
I think that what knowledge, if it's the knowledge has value per se. So we all draw on knowledge, and so be it in one particular another part of science of the humanities. So we should appreciate our colleagues' work in this area, because it will enrich our life as well. So you know, the value is in the knowledge.
Yes.
You know, I think it's difficult to see a specific impact from the photovoltaic cells to my work, except that it always moves me to see how scientists, in one way or another, become interested in or involved in aesthetic ideas, whether, you know, it's part of their research method or whether it's a particular response to their work, as in this particular case. I do feel there is a continuity between the cognitive neuroscience that Brenda Milner does, which comes to me via, I suppose, cognitive psychology on the one hand, and certain kinds of cognitive linguistics on the other. Philosophy has become more interested in philosophy of mind, and there is a sort of cognitive turn in my subject. So, you know, everything that Brenda Milner says is relevant to what I do, but not in a direct, instant way.
Yeah. Now, from what you heard this afternoon, any new insights or any influence of what you will do tomorrow, what you will write, or what you will present to your students tomorrow?
I hope to write something in the future. And I hope to have some future. But I admire very much a man who was called to write a book about his life, and he accepted the invitation, but says the title of my book will be Errata.
To think into the future. And it's that Professor Kretzel should go away from this meeting, and that he should, when he's finished designing photovoltaic cells based on the leaves of plants, he should try and design one based on the interaction between the two hemispheres of the brain. And I'm sure that'll produce huge amounts of energy.
Another important part, which are the closing remarks, and I would like to call upon Ambassador Bruno Bottai, who is president of the International Balzan Foundation Prize. And again, from my side, from the side of the Swiss Academies of Arts and Sciences, thank you very much to the Balzan Foundation.
Thank you to you. Balzan Prize winners are the source of the Foundation's prestige. An agreement of cooperation between the International Balzan Foundation Prize and the Swiss Academy of Arts and Sciences was signed earlier this year. This agreement aims at fostering scientific research. The organization of this forum is part of this agreement, and I want to acknowledge President Suter, Professor Dendlinger, and Professor Zürcher for today's very productive meeting, and also Professor Quadrio Curzio, who helped to reach this agreement. Let me remark that the International Balzan Foundation is both an Italian and Swiss institution, and this is also, I've been a diplomat all my life, and this I find also quite important. Thank you very much.